Hi, welcome to our presentation. Today our group will present about machine learning for banking sector. So my part is presenting a successful application for banking industry. So according to Roman C in 2020, Citibank has developed a machine learning system for fraud detection in shopping online using the Reddit card. The system will track the unusual user behavior. In particular, the system will detect unusual credit card transactions when shopping on the internet. For instance, the spending amount of transactions increased significantly, so the system will detect and mark the transaction as flag. Next, banker will investigate situations and contact users or lock the credit card. By this way, machine learning can catch fraud in real time, protecting customer and their benefits. Next, I will talk about the short-term and long-term benefits of machine learning in banking industry. For short-term benefit, machine learning can predict customer behavior. According to Oliver in 2019, by analyzing deeper customer behaviors, machine learning can provide valuable insights into customer budgeting patterns. For example, banks can analyze why customers need this product or service based on their usual activities and predict which bank service could be beneficial for them in the future. And for the long-term benefit, machine learning can help banks increase sales opportunities by filtering the important information in a big data set. Machine learning can refine users' profiles to best address to the target audience. In analyzing users' experience, banks can often useful insights to products and services of customer needs. And next, I will talk about the limitations of machine learning. Firstly, it requires a large number of datasets, and it is usually a big data set file for computer, so it might take time for new data to be generated. Secondly, machine learning needs massive resources to function and take time to let the system understand to fulfill their purpose with a considerable amount of accuracy and relevancy. Therefore, it may require banks using a powerful computer to run the system. Finally, machine learning is autonomous but high errors. In this case, a small mistake can set off of a chain of errors, so that can go undetected for a period of time. So it takes a long time to recover the mistake and make it correctly. So that is my part. So next, my partner will continue the presentation.
Hi, so this is a data set of the banking industry. We have a data set of more than 10,000 rows with 14 different columns. Starting from the first column is row number, customer ID, surname, credit score, geography, gender, age, tenor, balance, number of product, has a credit card, is an active member, estimated salary, and accident is whether the customer has stopped using the bank's service or not. So with the data that large enough of 14 different columns and 10,000 rows, which model that we should use to generate our decision tree? So there is a software here, so we're gonna check what type of data that we have. So we have all of the data type here, including numerical, binary, categorical. So we check all of these three. So target of type, what type of result that you want to have in the end, because we're going to have a decision tree of generate of whether 0 or 1, a yes or no. So it should be a binary, so we check the binary. We have 14 of columns, so we're gonna check here 10s and 10,000 rows, so we check here. So according to this software, it's recommended that we use a decision tree model of 19.3%. So after this, we're gonna import the Excel data file into the RapidMiner by clicking the data import, and then you locate the Excel file. So here's our Excel file. You click next. Next. This is a very important step, that you define and you select which column should be used and which columns should be excluded from the decision tree making. So first of all, the row number is not necessary, so we exclude this column. Also with the customer ID, which is not necessary. Also the surname. Credit card is needed, so we can leave it here, and it is correctly defined as integer data type, so we just leave the whole thing here. Geography is not needed, so we exclude this column. Gender is needed, but the data is defined as polynomial, but it should be binomial because the customer gender is a female or male, so it should be binomial. Age is needed with integer, is correct. Tenor is integer. Balance is real number. Number of product is integer. Has a credit card is needed, but it should be binomial because the customer either has or doesn't have credit cards, or 0 or 1, so it should be binomial. Also, is an active member should be binomial because it's only 0 or 1. Estimated salary is a real number, and the exited column, whether the customer has stopped using the service or not, so 0 or 1, so it should be binomial. So again, you check all your data, which column that you think is not important for the data generation model, and which column is needed. You leave them as this, the final table, and then you click next. And you choose the location where you want to save the file by clicking finish. And that is for the data set and the data import from the Excel file into the RapidMiner.
Okay, so here is the data set after we import it. The only change I made is changing the name of the existing column into the churn column to make it more relevant to the churn modeling. And then we designing the model. First step is the retrieve customer data. So we use the data we just imported in the local repository in here. I will select OK. So the next thing is the set row operator with the attribute name is the columns we want to indicate, we want to predict. So this is the churn column. And next is in the cross validations. We have two operator, which is symbol and decision tree. So in the first run, I will exclude the symbol because we don't need that for the first run. So we use delete, and click the play button to see the decision tree. So here we have the result and the decision tree. So when we see the data set, the statistic of the tunes, we recognize that the value of the tune value and the non-tune value is very imbalanced. The zeros mean non-tune values, which are like the churn values were 1/3 of the non-churn value, so we have to balance our data. So we back to the design phase, and we include the sample operator. We drag it here, and we make a sample is relative and check in the balance data. We use the edit list and the class because we use 1 and 0 to demonstrate like churns and non-churns, so we use 1. So the ratio, because we want to get all the value of the churn, so we have 1 meaning 100%, and add another means 0 for the non-churn values, and we only use 1/3 of the values of non-churn, so we use 0.33, and then we apply it, and then we run the model again. So here is the second runs of our model. And for interpreting the decision tree result and the accuracy levels, we'll leave it for my partners to this next part.
Before going to discuss the results of the machine learning model, I want to discuss the resource description and decision tree of two alternatives with or without the sample operator. So first one, the decision tree of alternative that does not use the sample operator give much more complex resource as we see in the screen here, and also it's increasing significantly the number of variables. For example, like salary, tenure, active member, gender, and also balance as well. However, with this alternative, the number of customers use less than 2.5 products are more than 9,500 samples. It accounts for 95% of the data set, in which the number of customers continue using the service account for nearly 80% compared to 15% who stop using the service. And that makes the forecasting model is unrealistic. Therefore, what we see here is the decision trees on visual very complex, but the number of samples is very small. So to make it realistic, we will need to add the operator with the sample operator in and run the model again. So after we run it, we see the accuracy now is about 80%, 79.72%, which is quite enough to analyze. Back to the model, decision tree now is much more simple because the model now they don't have enough sample to add more variable. For example, like like salary, tenure, active member, and gender have been removed. Only credit score and age is remain into the model. However, it's quite realistic, and we can use that to analyze the resource. So at the resource here, we get to the description. It's easier to see, and as we see in the product, is divided into two main categories. For number product, there's majority customer use more than 2.5 products on average. Assurance, this means 94% of people have more than 2.5%. They tend to leave the bank. And for customer use 2.5 products or less, the credit score and age will be taken into consideration. So for credit score and age, we see with the credit score less than 100% sample are stopped using the service, and we only consider that the credit score is more than 400 in here until it's going to analyze the ages. And based on the above analysis, the number of customers using 2.5 products on average is very high rates that live in the bank. So the bank have to take care of these people to get them back. With the rest of customers, the company should focus on customer credit score of 400 and above. In particular, the bank must maintain the group of customers under 43 years old. This group accounts for the largest proportion in the list of customers with very high credit score. In this, 30% of group decide to stop using the bank service. They will also account for the large proportion of total number of customers of the bank. The second group the bank needs more attention in voice is the customer aged from 43 to 72 years old. This is also the group with the high credit score, so they may not turn to be the bad debt. And also the rate of discontinuing the service is up to 75%. So this one is the group the bank must special attention to get them back. So building the service system that meet the needs of two groups above will reducing the percentage of customers who stop using the service to less than 5%. In consideration, the last customer group with only 23 sample above 72 years old is very small, and the bank may not need to focus to this group of customers as well.
Hello everyone. Now to sum up our presentation, I would like to talk about the standard methods to create the churn prediction. There are numerous machine learning techniques we will use, such as decision trees and regression analysis, are classified as standard methods, while artificial neural network support vector machines are grouped as computational intelligence. According to Mohammed 2017, a decision tree is known as the tree-shaped structure that represents the set of suitable decisions to make the rules for distinguish of the database sets, and is used to predict future trends and extract model based upon the interrelated decisions. To have a better understand of how decision trees technique work, there are two major steps to build the tree, which are building phase and pruning phase. Building phase is the first phase that the database set that the database is partitioned recursively until most of the records from each partition provide the results are identical. And the second phase is the pruning phase, which removes some branches that contain noisy data or data with high error rate. For example, not in decision tree is the test condition, while the branching is the value of the attribution are being tested, and the whole tree is the gather of multiple rule database sets. In addition, when implement the test to prune the false data by traversing through the tree until a leaf node is found out, and this leaf node is recorded to the customer evaluation data, then the results will show the probability of the churn rate. The next thing I would like to talk about is the customer relationship management, which is one of the significant key factors for successful business operation, which is the process of risk management of information on the customers and choose the appropriate management to maximize their loyalty, and its purpose to satisfy and maintain happiness of customer to avoid churning due to liberalization and competitive market on business. Customers are willing to choose the best service provider among all service providers. Losing customer loyalty is considered as a significant threat which causes dramatic change on revenues and profits of the organizations depend on the level of customer retention. Our recommendation here is to build a churn probability model with decision tree technique, which to help predict the customer churn rate. And that's it for my presentation. Thank you for listening.